Welcome to the Healers Café, the number one show for medical practitioners and holistic healers to have heart to heart conversations about their day to day lives while sharing their expertise for improving your health and wellness. So, welcome to the Healers Cafe. And today I have with me Adriana Keefe. And what she does is she's a human design coach and speaker, and she guides women in becoming more of who they really are on all levels. So I love that system. I think it's really exciting to have yet another way that you can reflect and become more conscious of your, how you operate, how you connect in the world, um, all of that. So anyway, I'm very excited to have this discussion with you. And I guess the first question I have for you is, how did you get kind of interested in this, or yeah, in being a coach, and then this may have come as a tool later, or I don't know. What is your story?
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to bring this to your space. Well, long story short, I had what I call my quarter life crisis when I was pregnant with my second daughter. Everything from the outside looked so perfect. I was making money, I was winning awards in my industry. I was happily married, happily pregnant, but I was riddled with anxiety and stress, and I was in the world of real estate. So it was very go, go, go. It was phone ringing at 11 p.m. at night, not taking my daughter to the beach during the summer. It wasn't right for me, and I could feel that, but I didn't know what else that meant for me. As someone who had literally I went to school for veterinary, and then I ended up working in a lab later because I couldn't pay my student debt, and then I moved into real estate, so I had jumped around so much that I was tired, and I didn't know if I was just completely out of balance or what. I hired my first life coach, and she introduced me to this thing called human design. And at first, I was so skeptical because I was like, I don't like personality tests. Nobody's going to put me in a box. And she talked me into it and said, it's not a personality test, it's astrology based. So it's time of birth. And I looked at it when she pulled it up. And I have never in my life felt such a deep validation as I did in that moment.
Mm.
It said that I was a manifesting generator, which means multi-hyphenate, multi-passionate, tends to be impatient, goes very fast. We tend to be diagnosed with ADHD at some point in our lives. And that hit home for me. This feeling all my life of being a quitter and being labeled a quitter, not sticking to any one thing, was all of the sudden, it just started to dissipate right then and there.
Yes.
So as I dove more and more into it, I was peeling back the layers of who I was designed to be for a bigger purpose here. And with all that to say, I was raised Catholic, but it never resonated with me. I'm a child of abuse and a lot of other traumas. Therefore, I felt nothing else is out there. But when this human design thing came into my world and it felt so resonant, that opened me up to what does this mean in a higher level? What does that mean if it knows this about me? So I started to lean into it more, opening up my sense of spirituality and just playing with the universal laws, all of the thing, everyone gets into The Secret, like that was where it kind of kicked off for me. And then I realized after years of therapy and EMDR among other modalities to heal from my trauma, that left me feeling, sure, neutralized around the flashbacks, but I still felt like a shell of a human. And human design was bringing me back home to me. Even now, I feel like I'm going to cry. It was bringing me back home to me, and that was a safe version of me. It was okay to be this version of me. And so every layer that I continued to peel back, I just let myself feel safe in that, and it took work. It's not like I can just see it and be like, "Oh, great, now I'm going to start acting that way." But that was really what started saving my life, was understanding who I was designed to be, and that I'm perfectly safe just the way I am.
Mm. So, so part of the idea with this is it's designed to be based on the charts, the astrology, and I'm just trying to put together when you say, I was a quitter, and then you've got this word manifester, generator. Those two sound like, it doesn't sound like quitter fits in to to this. So how would you how did that work? That because I'm assuming that you did self-identify as a quitter on
Mm-hmm.
some level, but this manifestor generator gave you an understanding, one maybe of why you quit when you did, and how not to quit when you're aligned. So, like, what was the journey really on that level?
That's such a beautiful question. So there are 5 different types within the system. There's manifestors, manifesting generators, generators, projectors, and reflectors. Manifesting generators are a bit like a hybrid of a generator and a manifester. And the manifestors and the manifestor side of us as manifesting generators are people who are here to start things. They spark the fires, start initiative, and take action, inspire other people into action, not necessarily designed to complete the things.
Mhm.
So they'll get a download or an idea and they'll want to run with it. But they immediately get another idea or download and so they want to go off with the next thing. And so it is very much a hot and heavy and fast-paced energy, and that's a lot of what I was feeling in my manifesting generator because I felt like I had a lot of ideas, a lot of creative downloads, and I wanted to do all the things, which I'm not going to lie is still a challenge as a business owner, learning to streamline and take it all in, which is now what I'm having to do because I built my business so wide. I am now streamlining and simplifying and allowing myself to find creative excitement within the couple of projects I have going on instead of starting new things all the time. It's about learning to fall back in love with the things that I initially started, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does, it does. And so what does so that's the quitter is because you at one point you just can't do it all.
Definitely.
Okay. But then so the other one's the generator. So the generator to me, I mean, again, I've looked at this quite simplistically a while ago, though I could say it was profound at the time I looked at it, but I have since then forgotten about it. Which doesn't mean anything about it. But generator is that like the doer? Is that the one who gets the things done?
That's right. Yes.
Okay.
So the manifesting generator still has the doer energy. And that's actually what some types of systems call the generator is the doer. So we have a lot of that energy. It's a motor inside of us that keeps us going. So we can bring things to completion. It's a matter of really reining in on the things that we love to keep our interests, our creative interests in. But having both of those energies can be definitely challenging.
Mhm. Well, I mean, challenging, but also some things you get to start and finish. You know?
That's exactly what they call manifesting generators the people who are here to show true human potential, to show everything that is capable of a human. Like in the end of July, I'm doing a charity event that is a 100-mile ruck. A ruck is, if for anyone who doesn't know what that is, it's a military inspired event where you carry everything on your back for 4 days and it's 100 miles, 25 miles a day. Most people tell me I'm insane for doing that, but for me, I love to push the limits and see what I'm truly capable of, and that's exactly what manifesting generators are here to do. They're here to show true human potential when in alignment.
Mhm. I see, interesting. Okay, and then if you were to, so those, let's say, let's go to some of the other ones. So there's those two, and then there's what's the receiver, or what was the last one you said?
Projector, a reflector.
Yeah, okay, let's go into that one a little bit. What is the projector?
Projectors are beautiful guides and teachers. If you were thinking of a movie set and thinking of the director on the movie set, that's exactly what their gift is. They're directing people to have a better outcome, to make things more efficient. It would be so much better if you did it this way. If you were to look at the human design system as a whole, manifestors are here to start the things, Generator types are here to build on the things. Manifesting generator types are here to learn the things, build on them, and expand them even more. Projectors are here to refine the systems and the processes. And they are not one of the most energetic types. They are types that work really well in 2 to 3 hour spurts, excuse me, because their energy is very potent when they are fully immersed in the project that they're working on. And then they need to rest. They need to rest their energy.
Interesting. Well, that certainly makes a lot of sense for um, in my daughter, who I'm sorry if you're listening, in case I got it wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's how she would describe herself. And she is a good guide and
Mm-hmm.
by nature. And she has to rest. It's very true.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
interesting.
Most of the projector clients I've worked with come to me with the belief ingrained in their body that they're lazy because at some point in their life they have felt like they can't keep up with the
Exactly.
generator types of the world. Generator types are 70% of the population. So every other, projector, reflector, manifester, if they don't feel that they have the working capacity of a generator and they don't have this information, they feel less than, quote.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's just not the
What's
case.
wrong with me? And it's
Mhm.
nothing, but it's interesting.
Yep.
Like, wow, so
Yes.
that's really built in from hanging out with the others.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
And I'm thinking about, me like running the clinic or running the college, right? The roles I've played so far. I mean, yeah, I actually think this way. I need generators
Mhm.
because I finishing, I mean, I will never give up, but I hate the details, the stuff, you know, the that just has to get done to get it finished. But
Yep.
the idea and the creation, um, that's what I love that, right? And
That's
then,
your zone of genius, yeah.
it's interesting that director, my dreams and I'm always directing movies, and at one point, my kids gave me two director chairs because I had a movie I was going to actually, I had started writing it, and I could see the entire scene, and it was, of course, on health.
Oh
Uh,
my gosh.
but I felt then I'm absolutely where I need to be. I've never felt so absolutely in line with everything. And on a mini version in the healing profession, you know, you you allow people to see the best that they can, but you also guide them. So I can see the manifestor projector, right? That's probably not a combination.
No, but I mean, I have a lot of projector clients who are extremely creative, like graphic designers, website architects, and of course, there's a lot more nuances within your chart that can help you see that. But I mean, it's just you can see you hold space for the potential within other people.
Yes. And that's actually, I actually, in my own download, created the healing potential, right? So that people knew that there was actually such a thing. Because
Yeah.
when you come from a very limited, conventional, pharmaceutical based world in medicine, healing isn't even a thing. Nobody heals. You just
Yep.
manage
That's
symptoms,
right.
mop
Yeah.
you, whatever. So I had to really invent a term. This is your healing potential. And we're going to
As
work on
someone who has struggled with health with Western doctors for a long time, I fully appreciate that. The healer's potential. I like that a lot.
it. Okay, which one have I missed now? There's
Reflector.
reflector.
So reflectors are only 1% of the population, and they are here to literally reflect back everything in their environment to show the general health, stability, well-being of their, the work culture, their relationships, whatever it is. They're like the movie critic. At the end of all the work that everyone else has done, the projectors have tweaked and refined, the reflectors reflect it back to us. So An example of this, I was so lucky to have a reflector as a client because I learned so much through working with reflectors about myself. And last year, when my husband had lost his job, it was about 9 months. So things were getting a little weird financially. And at one call, one of my reflector clients showed up and she was feeling very emotional. And there was some emotional, financial instability going on in their home. And I walked her through a lot of things. I use emotional freedom technique or tapping as a response in a lot of things. And then it wasn't until later after the call, I think it was the next day, that I realized she was reflecting back exactly what I needed to work on in my own current life and relationship. So they will definitely make their way into your lives when you need some healing to be done around certain areas.
So how, I mean, I don't believe in coincidences, right? So taking that out, like, is it that they just manifest their way? Are they like people who they exist in a sense for others, like, or
Oh, what a great question. That's a good question because there's a shadow and a light to everything. And the the work that I've done with reflectors, I have come to learn that one of the shadow sides that they struggle with in being a reflector is they feel like no one truly sees them because the other is only ever seeing themselves. And so they don't always feel seen and validated and heard. And that's a lot of their own work and finding their own sense of consistency because they're constantly, if you were to look at their body graph chart, every center is open, meaning they're taking in information and energies from all around them, ebbing and flowing. They don't have their own consistent access to that energy at a given moment, but they can find their own sense of consistency. So I really like how you framed that question because the way that I stated it definitely made it sound like they are here for others. I believe that we are all here for others, for the collective good. So I would say yes in that way, but they absolutely have their own hero's journey to go through and their own identity that they just need to learn how to navigate through their own life experiences. And it can be challenging.
mhm. Right, because unlike the manifestor or the projector or even the what's the one?
The
Um
generator types.
Generator type, yeah. I mean their actions, they it has an action verb, right? Whereas the reflector seems to be this being state,
Mhm.
right? There's no, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying there's it hasn't been defined with an action verb.
I really like the way that you are framing these. Yes, you're right. It is more of a state of being when you look at it high level. Yes. If you were to look at all of energetics, really, it is of the belief that we're all human beings. There's nothing really to do except for be ourselves. So I would say that it is a state of being. However, with reflectors, they're going to find their sense of what to do next through it's called a lunar cycle with the moon. So on a 28-day cycle, that's how they make their decisions. That's how they move through things. So they are still going to be doing. I mean, my reflector client has made like six figures in her first year of business. I mean, she was definitely a doer, but she's found what works for her and has learned how to not how to remove, but how to move through the other energies that can come in and out of her life, teaching her and guiding her, choosing to keep what she wants, what resonates, so that she can do based on using other people's energy and keeping what feels good and letting go of what doesn't. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that does. It's like I'm seeing it like an open. It's an open sphere, and things come in, and some things you go, yeah, I like it. I'll use this, and but it seems
Yeah.
like there's no stuckness in it, and there's no. I mean, or if there is stuckness, this would be the problem of a reflector, a, an attachment to a want to be rather
Mm-hmm.
than the role, right?
What
Yes.
would your life be like if you were pain free? If you are one of the millions who suffer from chronic pain, the thought of just one day without it may seem impossible. This is often because conventional medicine tends to fall short in the treatment of pain, opting to prescribe pills or recommend surgery rather than getting to the root cause of the problem. But if you are suffering with emotional or physical pain, there is hope. Join the founder and CEO of Bowen College, Manon Bolliger, live online for your body-mind reboot. Learn how to listen to your symptoms and get to the root cause of your pain. Plus, be trained in basic Bowen therapy moves so that you can reboot your body for optimal health. You don't have to live in pain. You can heal. Stop the pain pill cycle by visiting www.yourbodymindreboot.com to learn more and to register.
And I
Yes.
guess that's everybody. If you're a manifestor generator, you could
Mm-hmm.
be attached to the, you know, the portrait of a creator,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Or that gets it done. So you're always dealing with, on some level, the egoic potential is what you need to accept and surmount, right? And so,
Mm-hmm.
so
Yes.
who are we missing? There's still one person, right? One group, isn't there?
We touched on generators. There are generators and manifesting generators, but generators we touched on. So there's 5 in total.
Okay, and then how, so 70% are the manifestor generators.
70% are generator types. So generators and manifesting generators. Yeah.
Okay, and then projectors would be the 29% or
20 something. Yeah. Around, I've heard different figures. I'd say around 25%.
okay. And then what how, or are you, would you be able to sort of describe a little bit how they interact, like a, I mean, I'm going to ask you to do a ridiculous generalization because, like in homeopathy there's like 5,000 remedies, and somebody says, could you
Yep.
describe, it's like haha, you know
Ha ha ha.
but here it's like 4 or 5 groups, so it's even more haha. But still, big lines kind of make sense. So if somebody hasn't come across this, what is it that yeah, give us a little bit more how things happen in their lives, and maybe that would be,
Yeah. So a little bit about each type, high level.
yeah.
Yeah. So manifestors, they're about 9% of the population. They are the people who tend to feel like they do their best independently. They really prefer autonomy. Not to say they can't thrive in relationships, but the relationship would need to be able to provide autonomy for them because they are designed to literally have a download. Something sparks them into action. They want to put their head down and do it. They tend to be really fast paced. Everyone else can feel like they're too slow compared to this person. They might really resonate with being a lone wolf, and that's not to say that they don't have a great environment and community, but again, they really like to have their time to just do their thing. And they are here to be action takers. Again, like not so much loving the committing and following through, but that's really not what they're here to do. So taking it, running with it, and then ideally sending it off to someone who is like a generator type. Generators are they have really big, warm, open auras. You tend to feel a generator type when they walk into a room as in a very inviting way. And they are the go, 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 have a lot of energy for things that they really love to do. If they don't love doing something, it's not going to feel that way. But if they really like it, they could work on something from 6 a.m. to midnight and forget to eat, forget to go to the bathroom, and they're literally designed to work on things that truly light them up. Everyone here has a very specific purpose. And if what you're doing doesn't actually make you feel lit up, that is a very solid clue that something is not really meant for you. So they are the ones who can really build their workforce, life force energy. Manifesting generators. Again, a little bit of both manifester and generator. They're here to continue to grow on what the generators have built and expand. almost adding their own flavor to it, like I have done with human design. I've learned a lot of the human design systems, still learning because it's very in depth. And I've added my own spin to it because I thought, well, what if we start using tapping and tapping into emotional generational patterns and releasing energetic blockages and using Reiki and all of that. And so I've expanded on the human design system. And like I mentioned earlier, having qualities that lead us to be diagnosed with ADHD at some point in our life. We tend to be bouncy and very energetic, also have a big, warm, open aura. Projectors. What have we not said about projectors? Projectors love where I, as a manifesting generator, have built my business all over the place out of pure enthusiasm and excitement. Projectors really would love to start their business slow and solid. I have friends who are business partners. One is a manifesting generator, one is a projector. And the manifesting generator is like, I would be in so much debt and I would be like all over the place if I didn't have her, my projector, slowing me down, taking it bit by bit, being really thoughtful. Projectors love steady, slow growth. And it also really is good for their energy as to not deplete themselves. And then let's see, what else could I say about projectors? Well, since you are a projector, is there a specific question you have about your type that I could answer?
Well, I think one of the things that I've been told in that state or is that I should always wait for things to come to
Hmm.
me rather than go seek them. So I've always had this idea, it's not the right time now. It's not the right time now. I'll know when the right time is because whatever the events in life will
Yep.
come my way. And sometimes I feel like I'm waiting like, 20 years.
Yes.
I'm like, wait a minute here.
Yep.
Um,
I get that.
so
Projectors have what's called a strategy, which is the way that you're designed to interact with the world around you. Think flow, not force. Think energetics, ease. And their strategy is called waiting for the invitation. So, because projectors are so good at giving guidance and fixing things, I'm sure you've had it happen at least once in your life where you see exactly how to fix a problem, even if it's a friend coming to you for a problem. You offer advice, you offer a solution, and it feels like it falls on deaf ears. And you don't feel seen, you don't feel heard. The other person doesn't receive it, it just falls flat. And now you've used your energy in a way that wasn't received. It creates this sense of bitterness inside of you, that not feeling validated. And it honestly was just a big use of your energy. So the way that you are designed is they call it waiting for the invitation, which is literally someone asking you for your advice or your feedback around something, or maybe just asking them if you're not 100% sure. Do you want me to give you advice or do you just need someone to listen right now? And within business, it can be someone signing up for your email list, listening to your podcast. That's them raising their hand saying they want to hear from you. If you are not receiving that kind of invitation, it's just going to utilize your energy for something that's not going to be received. So, this is a big part of where learning my sense of spirituality and believing in frequencies, energies came into play because most projectors that have come to me say, heck no, I am not sitting around waiting for someone to invite me to do something like speak at a conference or whatever it is. But there's a whole energetic exchange that happens when you decide, okay, I'm just going to show up in the way that I know I need to show up. If you're a business owner, maybe that's making yourself seen as an expert in your field, whether it's speaking at conferences that panels are open for or showing up on social media and then letting the magic come to you. When I've had projectors who are business owners decide to stop forcing and stop using so much of their energy on social media content or pitching themselves or whatever it is, and just really practice honing in on their craft, it was like magic. Their inboxes just started, "Hey, will you come speak to my group? Hey, I'm writing this book. I'd love to have you do an excerpt." And it's just magical when you actually wait and just hone in on your craft and see what comes to you.
mm-hmm. That's interesting. Whether I could totally agree with your the generalization on this vis-a-vis the boo-boos I've done during the pandemic, where I just, it's like, can't you see what's going on? Isn't it obvious to you? Why would you ever take
Yeah.
something when you're 99.79, whatever, blah, blah, blah? Don't you see how it all ties in? Blah, 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 right? And, after people have made a decision, I'm much more careful because their awakening to the danger they've put themselves in would make me be much slower, more compassionate to, yikes, I may end up having to really help them, deal with that. But before that, the conviction in me to save the world from
Mm-hmm.
making a horrible mistake was very unprojector like in
Yeah.
behavior, you know.
Yeah.
And some people, like, oh wow, thanks, I had no idea, so some people respond and some people it's like, so it's interesting there. But the patience to wait for everyone to wake up, I think I would feel guilty that I didn't do my duty as a doctor, because that's what I did. I actually spoke out and told them, hey, by the way, we have an immune system. We can do vitamin D, we can, look after ourselves until we know more, and that was enough basically to lose my license, right? So
Oh, wow.
I didn't have to say a lot, but it was too much, right?
Wow.
So, but I don't know if I could have been the other.
I was
When
going to say, I don't know that that is so much out of alignment as it is exactly the way you were designed, because you were still showing up using your platforms and your voice in the way that you spoke, knowing that it was the right thing. It felt in alignment, it felt authentic and true to you. The outside world choosing to take things away because of that, I think is less to do with being out of alignment and more to do with the problems in the world. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that does make sense. Yeah. And then if I apply it to Bowen College, which is kind of my business in that sense, it's my passion as well. But um it's, I hate social media.
Yeah,
I
same.
I dislike like going out. So I keep thinking it's all going to work out if I don't need to be seen. I mean, you've looked at my page. Obviously, I've done a few things in TED Talk and I've done several books. And, it's not like I've been hiding completely, but I make, I'm really hoping that that aspect of my projector is true. you know,
Yeah,
because
because you're not stopping someone on the street and telling them
no,
what
no,
they need to be doing. You're using your own platforms and you're showing your authority in your industry. And there's a big difference there.
no. Okay, so in other words, I don't need to push more to go on social media. It probably would never work. I mean, the few times I've tried, I am so awkward with it. I have no idea. It's like this is not how I relate to the universe, right? And
Right.
my team, I mean, now they know they can't change me. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I've done like 21-day challenge. I've done all kinds of things to get over my own, and it's not fear of being seen on a screen. I don't
Yep.
care about that at all. It's the what how do you talk to somebody you're not talking to? How do you have a conversation when it's a one-way thing?
I
It's
agree.
it just feels so empty.
I agree. That's why I do all my content on my podcast because I mean, I don't know if you know much about astrology, but I'm a Scorpio moon and I have a lot of Scorpio in my chart and I want depth. I don't want shallow conversation and talking about the weather. I want you to tell me about your childhood wounds. And so putting it on it's too short form on social media. I like podcasting for that reason.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, that I
Mhm.
mean that makes sense. Okay. I feel like we had one more thing to what was it? No, I was just
Reflector, although we touched a lot about reflector
yeah,
before.
we did talk about reflector.
Yeah.
So there's one comment you sent. I just wanted to, if you could take, wrapping up because our time is already up, but one of the visions you have, or key vision to what you're doing, is you said, I'm on a mission to bring other women into a state of magnetic rebellion where they can choose to say no thank you to what society expects of them and become their whole worthy selves. And I just thought maybe if you want to expand a little bit on that, that vision, that would be
I
awesome.
would love to. That is the essence behind all of my work. What I've found, what human design truly opened me up to, was that when we are in alignment, I know alignment is such a buzzword, but when we are feeling like we are wholly, authentically ourselves, like we are not holding back, like we don't feel like we have to show up any certain way, we just are, everything else falls into place. You become a truly magnetic human. I have been speaking at conferences and workshops for a few years now, but the more that I have leaned harder into my human design, the more that I've deconditioned, the more that I've cleared who my environment told me to be, which was the stay small, stay quiet. You know, when I was being abused when I was young, I did at one point go and tell an adult who was supposed to be safe, and I was told brush it under the rug. We don't talk about this. I was always told I was too much. So my whole life, I dimmed myself down. And when I would speak at conferences and whatnot, I always related to people because you actually are aligned for, like myself, within our human design. So we are actually people. We enjoy communication. We enjoy relationships. So I'm good with people. But now, like last month, I spoke at a conference where I just showed up unapologetically myself. I have the mouth of a sailor. I would swear in my presentation. I mean, I just showed up. I was just myself. I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. I have never in my life had such an outpouring of support and people reaching out to me, people truly being obsessed with my work than I did last month. And that is proof that because I have been leaning so much into who I authentically am and clearing the wounds, allowing myself to feel safe in my own body, that you are genuinely designed the way you are on purpose for the specific work that you're here to do. And I have been very fortunate to fall into that earlier in my life. I know a lot of people listening might be older and think it's too late. But if that is you, I will tell you, Kris Jenner started this phase of her life when she was 50. So it is never too late. And this just shows that true, manifestation, another big buzzword, true intentional manifestation comes from safety in the body, and safety in the body and being your whole authentic, worthy self. There comes a state of calling in everything that you're worthy of, everything that you know you're worthy of and you want, and that creates that magnetism. So rebelling against the status quo, that's always what I've been known to do, even when I was a kid. But of course, they made it seem like a bad thing. And now I'm realizing, oh no, I'm here to tear things up and let other women feel safe in their own rebellion. Let other moms, especially if I'm a mom of 3, and I really do things differently than a lot of other moms, and it works out just fine for us.
Amazing. Okay, well, thank you. That's inspiring, and thanks for sharing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us at the Healers Café. If you haven't already done so, please like, comment, and subscribe with notifications on, as I post a new podcast every Wednesday with tons of useful information and tips for natural healing that you won't want to miss.